On May 3, 2007, a 3-year-old girl vanished from a holiday apartment in Portugal. Her name was Madeleine McCann. What followed became one of the most famous and heartbreaking missing child cases in modern history. A saga that would draw in international police forces, ignite a media firestorm, and leave a trail of unanswered questions for years. This isn't a story of speculation or rumor. This is the documented timeline, the verified facts, and what we actually know today about the girl who disappeared in the night. Madeleine Beth McCann was born in Leicester, England in 2003. By all accounts, she was a happy, affectionate little girl, deeply loved by her parents, Kate and Gary McCann, both of whom were respected physicians. She was a big sister to her younger twin siblings, Sean and Amelie. In late April 2007, the McCann family, along with a group of friends, traveled to the scenic resort town of Praia da Luz in Portugal's Algarve region for a spring vacation. They were staying at the Ocean Club Resort, looking forward to a relaxing week in the sun. Madeleine, with her bright eyes and distinctive mark in her right iris, was just days away from her 4th birthday. The night of May 3, 2007 started like any other on their holiday. Around 7:30 p.m., the McCanns put Madeleine and the twins to bed in their ground floor apartment. Number 5A, the children were asleep and the parents felt secure. A short time later, Kate and Gary joined their friends for dinner at the resort's tapas restaurant. It was close by, only about 55 meters from their apartment, with a clear view of the back of the building. Throughout the evening, the adults in the group took turns checking on their respective children. Gary McCann checked on his kids around 9:05 p.m. and saw them all sleeping soundly. Another friend from the group offered to check a little later, but didn't enter the McCann's apartment. At approximately 10 p.m., it was Kate McCann's turn. She walked back to the apartment and entered quietly. But when she opened the children's bedroom door, a wave of terror washed over her. The room felt eerily different. The window, which they had left closed, was now wide open. The exterior shutter had been raised. And when her eyes fell on Madeleine's bed, it was empty. Madeleine was gone. A frantic search of the apartment confirmed her worst fears. Kate ran back to the restaurant, her voice piercing the night air as she screamed, "They've taken her! They've taken her!" The nightmare had begun. The local Portuguese police, the GNR, were called immediately, arriving within minutes. The initial investigation and search began that very night. But in those critical first hours and days, crucial mistakes were made that would later be heavily criticized. The crime scene, the apartment, was not immediately secured. In the chaos, tourists, resort staff, and other well-meaning individuals walked in and out, potentially contaminating vital forensic evidence. The border police were not notified for several hours, losing precious time to prevent anyone from leaving the country with the child. Within days, however, the case exploded into a global media phenomenon. Madeleine's face was on every news channel, on posters, and in newspapers around the world. Hundreds of volunteers, from locals to tourists, joined the search, scouring the beaches, fields, and abandoned buildings around Praia da Luz. Interpol issued an international missing person alert. A massive reward was offered. But despite the unprecedented attention, there was no sign of Madeleine. Then, For months into the investigation, the case took a shocking and controversial turn. In September 2007, Portuguese authorities named Kate and Gary McCann as arguidos, an official term under Portuguese law for formal suspects. This stunning development was reportedly based on a few factors. First, investigators questioned inconsistencies in witness statements from the parents and their friends. More significantly, the suspicion was fueled by forensic results from two highly specialized scent dogs brought in from the UK, the dogs. ALLEGDLY detected the scent of a cadaver and human blood in the McCann's apartment and in the trunk of the car they had rented 25 days after Madeleine disappeared. However, the DNA samples these alerts were based on were inconclusive and were never considered strong enough to be used as evidence in court. The McCanns vehemently denied any involvement, and no physical evidence ever linked them to their daughter's disappearance. The public was fiercely divided. In July 2008, after a year of intense scrutiny, the Portuguese Attorney General announced that the case was being shelved due to a lack of evidence. Kate and Gary McCann were officially cleared of any suspicion, their arguido status lifted. For years, the case went cold, though the McCanns never stopped searching. They established Madeleine S. Fund to finance a private investigation and keep her case in the public eye. They had identified a new prime suspect, a German national named Christian Bruckner. Bruckner was a convicted criminal with a history of sexual offenses, who had been living in the Algarve region between 1995 and 2007. The evidence against him was compelling. Phone records placed a cell phone belonging to him near the McCann's holiday apartment on the night Madeleine disappeared. He had a history of breaking into hotel rooms and holiday apartments. German prosecutors publicly stated their belief that Madeleine was no longer alive, though they admitted they did not have the definitive evidence, such as a body, to prove it. As of today, Bruckner remains the focus of the investigation, though he has not been formally charged in connection with Madeleine's disappearance. More than a decade and a half later, the disappearance of Madeleine McCann remains one of the most haunting and unresolved cases in modern history. It's a story of a family's unimaginable loss, a global search for answers, and the persistent hope that one day the truth will come to light. A family still waits for their daughter. A child, frozen in time at 3 years old, is still missing, and justice remains just out of reach. But until the final chapter is written, Madeleine is not, and will never be, forgotten. Thank you for watching.